This is Addiction with Days, part 16. Uh, and it is the 19th of October. It's a lovely day again, nice cool breeze this morning. Freya, you want to belly rub, you want to belly rub, you want to belly rub. Hello, Yaki. Come on, Jicky boy. It's a beautiful morning. So let's see. Almost 26 degrees. Yesterday I was other side there by Joburg area. More Pretoria side, but anyway. And my car, my car's temperature gauge, the outside temperature gauge, was reading, 23, 24. Hey man, but I tell you, I was dying of one time heat stroke and all, except. Yeah, nah, that was definitely not 24. Don't lie to me. That was more like 42. So anyway, so we missed one yesterday, and reason for missing one is I went for like a job interview type of thing. Oh. Now we just wait and see. Might be called back to training and stuff like that. Nonsense, crap, what other nonsense. But anyway, so let's start this off. I'm not affiliated with AA or NA. I do this purely for myself, right? And try to reach that one still suffering addict out there. Not one, that still suffering addict out there. That hopefully may find something or get something from these little videos that I'm making. That being said, I think that was all. Oh yes, and please remember, guys, everything on these videos is purely my point of view, okay, or whatever I've read from somebody else that has written something, their point of view, okay. Please don't send silly comments, all right, because that's your point of view, all right. This is my point of view from my travels with. How was that? From my travels through my addiction up until today. Next month is my 8-year anniversary. Quite excited. Gonna go out and have a couple. I'm joking. Old friend of mine used to say it all the time. It's like, is it your recovery birthday? It's like, yeah, we're gonna go to the pub and party. We're gonna go celebrate your birthday. I'm like, yeah, okay, no. All right. Sorry, that's freaking me out. Whatever that was that went up my nose. So yeah, we're gonna get this day started. I want you all to keep me in your prayers. I went to the doctor last week, and seems like I may have something else. I'm not gonna mention it because I'm not gonna speak power over it. I may have something else, and today my appointment is a follow-up appointment, 12. So strong prayers that it's a life-threatening thing, by the way. So, like I said, now you know what you're gonna pray for. So, yeah, let's just keep that in our prayers. I'm definitely praying. Um, so yeah, as a belief, think about it. Cool. Just for today, as I said, I'm not with AA or NA, but I do love their literature, which does make sense. Okay, cool. Oktober 19de. Waar is jy? dollars. Yeah. Right, right, people. We could we could feel time, touch reality. The heading of the story is standing for something. Right, so we could feel time, touch reality, and recognize spiritual values long lost to many of us. Basic text, page 88. In our active addiction, we were prepared to compromise everything we believed in just to get our hands on more drugs. Nah, when you were going through those withdrawals, you would walk over anybody to get your next fix, to get your next bottle. You didn't care if you were late for work. I mean, that's why most of us could only hold a job for 2 or 3 months. Right. Yeah, I've got another one there, but compromise everything we believed in just to get our hands on more drugs. And I've used this for a couple of examples in counseling, and it is that, for example, I'm Catholic. That's my choice of belief, my God, and my understanding. So we were at this old age home, which was run by the Catholic Church, and we were doing like maintenance work there. And yeah, went into a few of the nuns' rooms and took out a good couple of cell phones and shit like that. Yeah, I did that. Now, what you thinking? I robbed a nun or two nuns or three nuns. It doesn't matter. I robbed a nun. So yeah, burn in hell for that one. Anyway, okay, moving on. Just got our hands on more drugs. Right, moving on. Whether we stole from our families and friends, sold ourselves, or lied to our employees, we were ignoring the values that mattered most to us. Sold ourselves. It's a very strong one, that. You could have sold yourself, your body, to get money, to come by, but also in a religious aspect, it's all just sold to the devil when you're doing all these, or when we were doing all these stupid things. But anyway, moving on. Or lied to our employers. We were ignoring the values that mattered most to us. Each time we compromised another dear, yeah. Each time we compromised another dearly held belief, another chunk of the mortar holding our characters together fell away. Holding our character together fell away. By the time many of us came to the first meeting, nothing was left but the ruin of our former selves. That's why we say, and we've done this many times, if you have not hit rock bottom, okay, rock bottom, you are not going to follow a recovery routine, okay? It is very seldom that those that have not hit rock bottom don't relapse. I'm not speaking negatively of anybody. This is just the cold facts. And remember as well, everybody's rock bottom is different to the other person's rock bottom. Right? My rock bottom was being on the streets, living on the streets, being a hobo, doing all manner of shit things to feed my addiction. And in my sick mental state, I was telling myself I was a free man. I didn't belong to anybody. I belonged to the devil or a freaking drug. That's what I believed in. That was my rock bottom. Your rock bottom might be different. Everybody's rock bottom is different. Remember that. Left but the ruin of our former selves. Okay. Nothing was left but the ruin of our former selves. So when most people that have hit rock bottom, that really hit rock bottom, when they come into rehab, you can see this is a shadow of a person. That is not, like, for example, my mother would say, "This is not my son. There's nobody there." It's yeah. Read it again. Nothing was left but the ruin of our former selves. We will locate our lost values as we carry out our first honest self-examination. Eh? A lot of people when they start getting a couple of days clean, they're like, "Hey man, I can't sleep, man. Hey, my brain is just working overtime." I say, I'm like, yeah, because the cobwebs are now getting cleaned out. Excuse me. Now you're starting to think sober. So all the things you did is now haunting you. This is why step work is very important. Self-examination. Also, life story. A lot of people hate life story. And if you're gonna do a life story, be honest in it. Like everything. Like everything. Put it in a life story. Because you're thinking about it. You're writing it. You're seeing it. And you're speaking it while you're doing it. It's the best form of healing. Right. I love my puppy. He's my baby. Where were we? Self examination. But in order to rebuild our characters, we'll find it necessary to maintain those values as we carry out our first on. No, jump back up. Sorry. Let's start that again. Come on. Gaan speel man. Damn it. You're needy today. Damn it. Yes, she get my dog. Oh, she's the other child that she gets these days where she's really needy. And your arm will be sitting or you'll be on the cell phone and she'll come and she'll nudge your arm up the way just so she can get her head underneath it. I love my dog. Right, so let's do this again. But in order to rebuild our characters, we find it necessary to maintain those values, no matter how great the temptation to shove them aside. We will need to be honest, even when we think we could fool everyone by lying. When you come into rehab, please, you, that person that likes to talk cock, rubbish, leave that at the door when you come into rehab. Because I promise you, nobody in the meetings, in the group sessions, in the one on ones likes that person that is trying to float their own boat in recovery. Nobody cares. They only care about you and being honest and recovery. When you start coming with all these nonsense stories, and you know what I'm talking about. As I used to use so much. Uh-huh. Okay. So I had this, I was driving this car, I was doing this for the dealer, or I was doing blah, 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 blah. Especially in the meetings. When you go for that AA meeting or that NA meeting, you sit there, you're talking, you see everybody's, just look at the people's faces. First of all, we all told the same cuck stories as you. You, the person that talks cuck. We all spoke the same shit. Be honest. Even when you think we could fool everyone by lying. best is when you're doing in counseling and that person or persons is just rapping off at you, or at me, should I say, telling me this, telling me that. My first counselee that I ever had, I still sat there, arms crossed, and I'm like looking at this person. After the session, when they walked out, I spoke to my supervisor, and I said, I wonder, I'm like, I wonder if my mother believed that kind of cock that came out of my mouth. Don't lie to your counselor, especially if it's a counselor that's a recovering addict themselves. They know what you're talking about. Right. If we ignore our values, we'll discover that the biggest fibs were told when were told what we'll discover that the biggest fibs we've told have been the ones we've told ourselves. We don't want to start the demolition of our spirits again after all the work we've put into the restoration. It is essential that we stand for something, or we risk falling for anything. Whatever we find important to us, we honor. Not lying was one of mine. Because, like all of us, we talked the biggest nonsense. We lied like through our teeth and fa 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 fa. There's another example, silly example, from my side that I've used with a lot of my counselors and that. My mom makes like fudge and stuff like that, so she keeps condensed milk. I used to waste the condensed milk. One day, he called me, this is when I was fresh in my recovery. Did you eat the condensed milk? No, mom. Turned around, walked away, turned around, came back and said, yes, mom. Admitting when you're wrong as well. That's another big one. First rehab I ever worked at, two of the boys were doing something and I lost my temper with one of the boys and I was really reprimanding him, giving it to him. And after it was done, one of the other guys that had noticed it came into the office and said to me, listen, I just would like to let you know that he is telling the truth. He didn't do it. So what did I have to do? As a counselor, I can't tell you to do something if I can't do it myself. So practice what you preach. Okay? Admit when you're wrong. So in front of the entire rehab, 62 strong if I remember correctly, it was in a group session, just before the group session started, that I was giving. I said, blah, 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 apologize. I do hope you can forgive me, blah, 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 yakari shmakari, end of story. Okay. Main point is admit your faults. Okay. Important to us, we honor. Just for today, I stand for something. And that's very important. What you stand for, you need to believe in it. If you're going to tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. Or don't waste my time. Right. I stand for something. My strength is the result of living my values. That's a big thing. What are your values? Fresh in recovery. This is when you need to find out what you like, what you don't like. What are your values? Because somewhere along the line in your addiction, you lost who you were. Now, if you're in rehab and you're starting out, find out who you are. Okay. I'm going to do the just for today. It's something that I wrote a long time ago. Right. Unfortunately, no one other than another recovering addict can understand the daily struggles we go through, from the time we open our eyes in the mornings to the time we go to bed at night. We are constantly fighting our addiction. Many people, sober people, think that it is just a case of go to rehab and you will then be fine. Well, it doesn't work that way. It would be damn nice if it did, but it doesn't. I've booked in a lot of people coming into rehabs, helping them fill forms in and whatever, where the parents are like, fix him or her. A lot of people believe that when you go to rehab, when you come out, you're fixed, you're magically healed. Spirit fingers. Magically healed. Many of you will agree with me. Only if that was true. Okay, damn nice if it did, but it doesn't. No, unfortunately, we wrestle with our addiction every minute of every day. And if you are one of those people who think that your loved one will be eh, all healed and good as new after a while, well, you would be mistaken. Let's remember a lot of families are the worst. You family members are the worst. Because your loved one comes home, what's the thing you do? You throw a bribe party, like a bribe. Barbecue for those other clowns. And what happens at the bride? South Africans love to have a dop in a flacy. In other words, a drink and a piece of chunk of meat in the bride. This person is now fresh out of rehab, and yeah, all of you are getting drunk around this person. Bye bye. Think about it. Right. So, like, married couples as well. Let's say the one goes into rehab, comes out, the partner is still carrying on, drinking, whatever. What about your partner? Do you not love your partner enough to actually cut your shit out to save your partner's life? Because regardless if you are one of those that feel that this is a disease, a hereditary disease, or it's a choice, regardless if you're one of those that think it's a choice or a disease, at the end of the day, we're fighting the same problem. Addiction kills. And I'm telling you now, you, the person that doesn't help your partner out or your loved one out when they come back from rehab and you carry on your crap, my brew, or chana, or chick, whatever, auntie, shame on you. Shame on you. Anyway, moving on. The one and only time we as addicts recovering or still in active addiction can escape this problem is the day we die. Because you will be an addict, a recovering addict, till the day you die. I know so many people, 32 years sober, 24 years sober, 1 week moment, bah, back to zero. Until the day they put you 6 feet under, then you're recovered. Right. On that day that we are put into the box and shoved 6 feet under the ground, that is the day and only then that we can and will be completely free of this demon we live and fight with every day. To me, that's how I say addiction. Addiction is my demon. It is. It's locked up inside. And I'm trying, and it's a battle every day not to feed that demon. It's like that story about the two wolves. Everybody has two wolves inside them, a good wolf and a bad wolf. Which one wins? The one you feed the most. And man, I don't feed that freaking thing inside them, bro. No, no. Right. As a recovering addict, every single day is a fight to stay sober. When we fight with our loved ones or family, that is a trigger for us to go and want to use, because that is how we used to deal with that or those situations in the past. Every time my dad and I used to have a fight, first thing, because that is how we used to deal with that or those situations in the past. Listening to certain music can be a trigger. Seeing certain people, family or friends, and being around those people can be a trigger for us. Clubs and bars are really big triggers. If you, the addict or family member of the addict, think for a second that that addict will be fine, I tell you this, and that is you are playing with fire. Most relapses are due to loved ones and family members not being vigilant and thinking this or that is okay. Remember, what may be okay for you, the sober person, is definitely, not maybe, definitely not okay for the recovering addict. Right. It is like standing on a landmine and thinking, what? Standing on a landmine and thinking you will be okay when you step off. You won't be in any danger. It won't happen to me. And then you step off. Remember, that's a famous words, eh? Ah, that won't happen to me. Next thing you know, bam! uh, love it. It won't happen to me. And then you step off and get a surprise of a lifetime. I read somewhere the other day a quote that I really liked, and it goes like this: sometimes a parent grieves for the loss of a child that is still alive. Powerful. Sometimes a parent grieves for the loss of a child that is still alive. Think about it. Well, it is so true. But now this is where I started giving the first hand experience from the other side of the table. If you, the parent or loved one, don't want to grieve for the child that is still alive, get involved. I always say this as well, that a recovering addict needs to know that they can come to their wife, husband, father, mother, brother, sister, come to them without feeling they're going to be judged, and go to them and say, hey, I'm struggling, help, help. So you, the loved one, get involved in the recovery. If you think you are already doing everything you can, I'm telling you that you are not. Now, please, I am not saying you are doing bad. I am simply saying get involved. Ask questions. Communicate without judgment. You must remember, we addicts started using drugs or alcohol or whatever else to mainly suppress our feelings. Another reason why a drug addict should not drink is another reason why a drug addict should not drink. We are using these substances to hide and suppress something. It is now your job as the family or loved one to try and support, fix whatever may be the problem. And whatever it was they were trying to get away from in the first place. And most of these things, as we addicts were trying to get away from, started at home most of the time. The problems started at home. That's why they looked for the escape. It is not just enough that you send them away to rehab, but when they return, their recovery only truly starts. While you're inside the safety of the rehab, you're safe. An addict's recovery only starts when they walk out of that rehab into the big bad world. Also, another thing I like to point out, most rehabs offer family support as well. Okay? Get involved with your loved one's recovery. Ask the questions. I sat with my mom and I explained so much stuff to her. What types of drugs, what are the side effects, what to look for, when you're on a certain drug. Right. The recovery only truly starts when they come home. And that is when you, the family and addict, need to start working on your recovery together. It needs to be a joint effort. A joint effort. It's very hard to do it alone. You need to have somebody that will either just be an ear for you to listen to talk to, talking about the addict, shoulder to cry on. That's all they need. We don't always need somebody to have an answer. We just need to offload. Right. A volatile family environment or unstable family environment is the catalyst for an recovering addict that is not stable. Talking about playing with the proverbial fire. Recovering addicts that get and receive the support from loved ones and family members and their understanding of their situation stand a really big chance in staying sober. The percentage of recovery for drug and alcohol addiction is a really low 15 or 20% recovery rate. And this is the truth, please. I explained it like this to one person once. Let's, for example, and this is just my opinion, my experience, okay? So please, no stupid comments. If you have a group of 20 addicts, you're literally looking at one out of that 20 that might recover. And I say might, because it's not a guarantee. You may be lucky sometimes, God willing, that you have more than one out of 20. But it's very few. It's very few. So when rehabs tell you that their recovery rate is 60%, please. A bit of advice. If a I just said it. They are talking. Okay, so let's read it anyway. A bit of advice. If a rehab tells you that they have 50% or so, they are talking crab sticks to you. In real life, it is a low 15 or 20% recovery rate. This is why we tell people, families, and loved ones to get involved. Because if you get involved, that percentage number goes up. The more chance the addict has chance to recover or last in recovery. Right. And that should scare you. This is real, people. It is not something to joke about. I have listened to parents and such telling me that relapse will never happen to their loved one. Famous last words. Then you hear the stories, sometimes a while after you last spoke to them, sometimes a few weeks, months even, sometimes Not even, 7 days after they've left rehab. Ah, Desmond, so and so has relapsed. What should I do? We told you what to do. I'm talking about people that don't listen or don't accept the advice. I like to call them assholes. People that ask for advice. Hello, mommy. People that ask for advice but don't follow it. I call them assholes. Okay, so where are we? Never happened to their loved one. Then you hear the stories. Sometimes a while after you last spoke to them. Sometimes a few weeks. Hey, zip it. After you last spoke to them. Sometimes a few weeks, months, even months. And then you speak to those same people and find out that their child wrapped his or her car around a tree drunk. Just one example. Or their child committed suicide, drunk or high, or the worst, your daughter or son being raped and killed and dumped into some ditch. A good friend of mine, we were in primary school together, we were in high school together. A few years went past, we bumped into each other in rehab. He was also a heroin addict as myself, and it was about 2 years, I think, after that. There was a message on Facebook from his wife frantically looking for him. A week later, unfortunately, they found him deceased, died of an overdose, sitting at a dam. Overdosed and fell into the water. So yeah, he drowned. So as you know, I've been doing this now for almost 8 years. Amount of friends, um, acquaintances, all that, counselees, personal counselees that I've counseled, that I've passed, is sad. And you out there, you know what I'm talking about. We've all lost somebody because of this disease, this addiction, this sickness, this choice. Right. All because of a relapse. Let's read that again. Or the worst, your daughter or son being raped and killed and dumped into a ditch. Cold, honest facts here, people. All because of a relapse and loved ones and family members not taking a more active role in the addict's recovery. And remember, people, this thing that people love to do, others, that won't happen to me. No, not to my family. No, not to my loved one. To you, I tell you to clear the shit out of your eyes. End of story. Right, finishing up here quickly. In ending this, sending that recovering addict away to a different area, thinking that maybe if you know, as they say in the recovery is geological, I think is the right word, geological change. So thinking moving them to another city or something will help? No. Right, so different area. Thinking that maybe if they were not in that area, things will be different. You would be wrong. A recovering addict does not need you to pack them up and send them away. No, they need you, their loved ones. Be a part of their recovery, not a voice in the background. Think about it. A lot of family members or loved ones like to send their problem away. You're looking for trouble because you're literally pushing that addict away from you. This uh, this one I'm gonna read to you guys today is a little bit of a heavier one, but like I said, this is cold, honest facts. Recovery should not be sugar coated. You should get it as it is, If you don't help, or if you don't pull your finger so get your life back into track, and if you don't help that person pull their finger, get their life back into track, you're going to lose them. You will die. End of story. There's no two ways about it. Right. Peace be with you all. This was a long one today. Peace be with you all. God bless. And adios.